Temos uma pessoa na plateia online. Se tu quiser, pode começar a apresentar. Você fala alguma coisa? Não sei como. Se apresentar.
We need to speak in English. So I'm seeing Dais in the Zoom platform. We have Everett here. We have the guys who is helping us with the logistics. I'm Camila. I'm professor at the Federal University of Berlândia. We are here to plenary sessions. We have Vitor here. And the title of the research is Same Life, Different Behaviors, Accounting Practitioners, Cheating Behavior, and their personal, academic, and professional lives in light of utilitarianism. I have difficulty with this word. So, Vitor, you have around 20 to 30 minutes to make your presentation, and then I will bring some reflections to try to help the continuation of the work.
Thank you, Camila. So, this is Vitor from University of São Paulo, and I developed this paper with my colleague, Breno Gabriel da Silva, also from University of São Paulo. And the title of my paper is Same Life, Different Behaviors, Accounting Practitioners, Cheating Behavior, and the Personal, Academic, and Professional Lives in Light of Utilitarianism. It's not working.
Maybe it's the power, it's not.
Yeah. So, a little bit about context or introduction. Accountants deal with key financial information from companies and enterprises. So the public expects high levels of honesty and integrity from the accountants, from these professionals. And when they fail to present moral behavior, there are bad consequences to the people involved, to the companies involved. And in particular, cheating behavior has become a global phenomenon. And in some contexts, cheating has become the rule rather than the exception. So it's really concerning. And cheating may impact several life dimensions of people. For instance, the discovery of a love affair is associated with occupational and professional performance problems. So a personal issue implicates something bad to the professional life of this person. And people can engage in cheating practices, cheating actions for a number of reasons, for many reasons actually. But an influential moral theory that can guide people's decisions on their moral conduct is utilitarianism. And this theory argues that people's actions should be measured by the pleasure or pain that they produce. And according to this theory, good actions are those that produce good consequences. So the end is to maximize utility or pleasure. So we have to adopt good actions in order to produce good consequences. Even in this context, the objective of this paper is to examine the relationship between accounting practitioners' perception of cheating actions and cheating in their personal, academic, and professional lives based on utilitarianism. The contributions of this paper are, first, we included the personal dimension in the analysis, which the prior literature haven't included it yet. We designed a set of questions based on the Code of Ethics for Brazilian CPAs. So it's an original survey that can be further explored by future researchers. And third, we used utilitarianism as the theoretical support, which is also poorly used by prior research. So, background section. First, cheating is hard to define. So prior literature does not provide a simple and objective definition of cheating because it's really hard to define. But despite that, we try to define it as any dishonest or unfair act that aims to gain an advantage for oneself or a third party, and that may or may not involve legal consequences. So this definition is important because we emphasize the dishonest action, but also it can implicate or not legal consequences. So it's not totally attached to the legislature. And cheating has many times and degrees and can involve many times more than one life dimension. So that's why we are trying to analyze it across life dimensions. And the theory that supports this research is utilitarianism. And the assumption of this theory is that people are governed by pleasure and pain. We seek pleasure and try to avoid pain. We then should maximize pleasure by adopting good actions that will produce good consequences. So the slogan or propaganda of this theory is we should always behave now in ways to produce the greatest good for the greatest number. So we need to seek to maximize pleasure for the largest number that we can achieve. And cheating is quite the opposite. Cheaters benefit a few instead of many, and cheaters put their needs first instead of the common good. So that's why utilitarianism is interesting to be used in this context, because we can see, depending on the answer of the participants, whether they think like closer to a common good or further from common good. In terms of method, we conducted survey research, and this survey was divided into two parts. Part one comprised cheating questions, and part two, the participants' demographic information, such as sex, gender, age, income, and other demographic information. We administered this survey online, especially on social network websites and CRC websites. The data analyzed here are associated with the first 2 weeks of February 2021 of the data collection process. We used the purposive sample, which is a non-probabilistic procedure of getting the sample. And this research was approved by an institutional review board, specifically approved by a review board associated with the Plataforma Brasil. A total of 262 answers were gathered. Here in this table, we have the cheating questions. So cheating 1 through cheating 10 are the cheating practices. So all these actions violates the code of ethics of the Brazilian CPAs. And then we have the PER, the PER, ACA, and PRO that are the three questions regarding whether the respondents had cheated in their personal, academic, professional life. The results of the descriptive statistics of these cheating items are reported in table 3. So for the item CHT1 through CHT10 are here, and the mean values suggest that the participants reported that the actions are totally unacceptable, which is something good. They probably wouldn't engage in those actions, those cheating actions. The median also suggests that the most part of the participants answered that the cheating actions are unacceptable, so, or totally unacceptable, which is also a good evidence that suggests that the accounting practitioners have more moral awareness. Table 4 brings the frequencies, percentages, contrast tests, and post-op tests, but basically indicates whether the participant had or had not cheated in their personal, academic, and professional life. In the personal dimension, 130 had cheated and 139 had not cheated. In the academic dimension, 141 participants had cheated, while 118 had not cheated. And finally, the professional dimension, 67 participants had cheated and 193 had not cheated. And when we test the proportions of the dimensions, we observe that there are significant differences for all the 3 relations that are under test here. And it indicates that the proportion of yes and no of the dimension pair is different from the academic and the professional. So the academic is the most common form of cheating, then the personal, and then the professional one. So depending on the life dimension, people tend to behave differently in terms of cheating. Table 5 brings the descriptive statistics and comparative analysis by per. So I divided here between cheaters and non-cheaters, and the mean values for the cheaters are generally superior than those here for the non-cheaters. And we test here for many using many tests, and the medians values are significantly different from for item 2, 4, 5, 9, and 10. So this is evidence that cheaters are more malleable or susceptible to cheating actions. The same here for table 6. So, but here I analyzed by ACA, which is the academic dimension, also by cheaters and non-cheaters, and also the mean values here for the cheaters are above or superior to those here, the mean values of the non-cheaters. And except for the item 3, all those are significant, which suggests that the cheaters again are more successful or accept more those cheating actions that were listed. Table 7, the same thing, but here I analyzed by PRO. which represents the professional dimension. And again, the mean values for the cheaters are higher than the mean values of the non-cheaters. And except for item 1, all of the rest are significant and support that the cheaters again are more acceptable to those cheating actions listed before. Finally, I ran binary regression models, by life dimension, and PER. There are 2 significant variables, which are religion and CRC holder for the ACA model. There are also 3 significant variables, which are sex, male, income, 3 to 6 minimum wages, and age. And finally, the PRO model showed no significant variables. No significant variables were relevant to explain the cheating in the professional dimension. So the conclusion is that in general, accounting practitioners think that those cheating practices are unacceptable, which is good. However, most of them have reported that they had cheated in their personal and academic dimensions. And for the professional cheating, 1 out of 4 also have reported that they had cheated. And the proportions of the cheating frequencies were also different in each life dimension. And accounting practitioners tend to behave or tend to display good behavior in professional settings and not so good in academic and personal contexts. And no personal information was significant to explain professional cheating. So the inclusion of other variables in the model is needed, especially those variables related to more moral behavior, moral awareness, moral sensitivity, and so on. There are 2 main limitations of this research. First is the survey online administration, and the second is the sampling procedure. And we suggest 3 topics for future research. First, use the usage of 2 or more moral theories at the same time to look at the same phenomenon. I think this comparison will benefit the field. Second, actually, use of different measures of personal, academic, and professional cheating. I think that this suggestion is also necessary because in this study we measured cheating binarily, so other metrics are also valid, and I think there are only 2 suggestions for future research. So here are the references of this presentation. Thank you very much for your attention.
Very good. Thank you, Victor, for the presentation. Okay, so I have this role here to be a discussant. And so I prepare some slides just to help the discussion. Let's see. First of all, I think that the research is really interesting. for me as an accountant, but I am a professor, it's really important to think about the cheating, but in a broader way. Like I am just one person, so even I have like my personal life and my academic life and my professional life, I am just one. So for me, it was really interesting to see all of this dimension and what could have when we look through all of these three together. So I put some points here too. So I wrote that it's an instigating research. The topic draws a lot of attention due to its originality and importance. As you wrote on the text, we have a lot of research about cheating, but only in one or two dimensions. So because of this, I was like, it is interesting to see like the personal life dimension together. And during the text, it's like it's really highlight the gaps and the contributions. We don't know any doubts about this. This is good because sometimes we read some articles and we were like, okay, and so what? And it's a fluid reading. It's really easy to understand the English, the writing. I don't have this this skill, write English, so it is good to see. Like I know English, it probably is not the first language of Breno, probably, and I know it's not yours, so it's good to read a paper. And for me, it's like some English papers from people who has English as a first language. So I think this is a strength too. Another point here, because for me this is really difficult to do in the academic research, that is it's well written, like I said, but it's a really well structured research, because we have like Vitor and Breno like position themselves, and also we have the literature too. It's hard to have this balance, because sometimes we and I am including on this, we have like the research only with all of the literature and nothing of the authors, and on the other hand we have like only the authors and no literature or reference. So here we have a really well balance of these two dimensions. And another point I really like, and I will congratulate, because it's really hard on this time to have like people responding the survey, because especially with before after the pandemic time, we have a lot of different research came through the email, and also you have the practitioner, the accountants. Like it's not, the research is not like being doing on the academic environment. And usually people who it's like accountant that it's like working on the practice, they don't have like a lot of interest to answer this kind of work. So I was okay, 262 respondents. It's a really great number. And the final one is that on the final thoughts, you and Breno highlight some attentions for the institutions, like the academia and the regulators. They need to draw some attention on this thing, and more of these, like design some actions, like be part of the problem, because we have these, we are looking for the individual act and behavior, but the institutions need to do something to avoid or fight the problem of cheating. So here I call points of reflections, because for me, the people who most know about the research is the authors, are the authors. So the point is like some things, a lot of different things I think about when I was like reading, but if makes sense or not, you and Brennan needs to evaluate. The first thing I put here is the Brazilian cultural context. I was like, I don't know if we, I don't know the importance of the cultural here because like, are the cheating perspective of the respondents having some influence of the Brazilian cultural context? You know, for example, the way I'm here, I am a woman, a black woman here in Brazil. The way I think about cheating, I don't know if it's the same or it's not the same, for example, for someone who is like in a different context. I was thinking about it. This intrigues me because, for example, it's a this example. It's a personal example. Here in Brazil, it's funny, and you bring on your text. I like this in text. We have some funny example. Funny, it's not funny. It's like different. For example, the guy who kicked the dog, and people, it's like who cutting the line.
Yeah.
For example, cutting the line, it's a really important thing in Brazil. But I was in, for example, Portugal. It's not. I was. Oh my God, what is going on? Because people, they wasn't with the respecting the line, and I was okay. So when I read the text, I was thinking about this, like the notion of cheating could be influenced by the context.
Yes, I think this point I could have brought some more of the Brazilian context, of course, especially because this research was developed with Brazilian CPAs. But at the same time, I think this falls on the limitation of the research, which is the survey research. And one thing that we assume is that the person knows how to answer your survey. And but of course, I acknowledge that some CPAs might have different concepts of cheating.
Yeah, and this is when we think about the cultural context and think about the respondent, we don't have this control.
Yeah.
We are assuming they have all of the information they need to answer. It's the limit. I think this is a limitation of the survey. It's not a limitation of your work.
Yeah, it's a limitation of the quantitative approach.
And
so
it's
to gather the perceptions and try to analyze it numerically. So
yeah,
that's what.
But I think I was thinking about this more for the discussion of the text than the respondents, because this is my next point. I was like, oh, we only have international reference, and this is a really good thing because it is good to like point the research on a broader perspective and discussion. And I know the discussion about cheating and moral and this kind of things, it's a really more developed in the abroad scenario than here. So it is okay. But I was like, and I found interesting that the Brazilian reference we have, it's only for the methodological part, like Professor Fábio. And I was like, okay, is this an author's choice? Like Victor and Breno, they don't bring like national reference because it was not important, or we don't have. Maybe I was like, maybe we don't have. This is not a research theme of my interest, so I was maybe we don't have like research, previous research in Brazil about the theme. And for me, if is this the case, this is a point, another point of strengths for your work.
No, we actually do have cheating research in Brazil, but I think when we were designing the research and our intention was to publish abroad,
Yeah.
we thought that the usage of international references would increase our chance to publish abroad. But of course, I think this second point falls in the first point as well, because try to be more the Brazilian context to the paper.
Yeah, even when you and then we will like try to publish in the international scenario, one could ask about the
Yeah.
Brazilian culture, because it's funny, sometimes people, depending on the country, people, they know nothing about Brazil, nothing. So as we have like your respondents from Brazil, people will know, okay, we have all of these international reference, but the respondents are Brazilian. Why not like American CPAs, for example? Because it's like we have a choice. Maybe someone who like has to justify the, and I think we have a lot of points.
And there is also criticism, because
yeah.
if there is no reference, no Brazilian reference, they will suggest that, well, you could include some. And if there are some Brazilian reference, well, you're trying to publish in the international journal, so try to balance it
Yeah.
in a better way. So
that's true. It's a
yeah, but no, I think this type of criticism is valid, because I think the paper in its current form actually requires these local.
yeah. I was fighting with myself with the thing, because cheating is the definition you bring, it's like it's really broad and complex.
Yeah,
and I think
hard.
it's really linked with the cultural aspects.
Yeah,
because someone could so for example the figure one, we have a lot of different examples for cheating on the academic dimension and personal, and someone like Brazilian could see and oh, this is not cheating, or oh, is this cheating?
Yeah.
And I think the research is increased also because of this.
Yeah, we adopted a broad definition
Yeah,
of cheating to accommodate many types of cheating.
I like this word. And the other thing I was thinking about is that when you bring the objective, like to examine the relationship between account practitioners, perception of cheating action, I was okay, we have like two parts of the objective, like the perception and its relation with cheating's behavior. And I found a little bit hard to see the relationship of the utilitarianism and the second part.
Oh,
But I think it's my limitation.
no.
Because I was thinking about the perception. I could see like the link with the lens, and also I am starting off the point that Dieter and Beno chose the utilitarianism theory as theory to explain the phenomenon. I'm not sure if it's this. So I have some hard time to try to understand this part.
Yeah,
because
I agree
it's a moral theory.
Yeah, it's a moral
and I was okay,
theory.
how utilitarians could explain cheating. because for me it's like explaining you why not cheating.
Yeah. No. So if you are deciding whether to cheat or not cheat, you have to consider whether it will bring good or bad consequences. So it's applicable whether you are cheating or you are not cheating. It's a decision, right? So take into account in your decision the good and bad consequences that your action will cause. So if I state that a cheating action and ask you to, well, you think that this is totally acceptable or totally unacceptable? I think that if the person answers, well, I think this cheating action is totally unacceptable. So from a utilitarian perspective, the person is saying to me that, well, if it's totally unacceptable, the bad consequences are greater than the good consequences. And if the person answer, well, this is a totally acceptable cheating action, so it's worthwhile engaging in this cheating action. So if he's telling me that, well, the good consequences of engaging in this cheating action outweigh the bad consequences of doing it.
Oh, makes sense.
And I think I have to make it clear.
Because I was like, okay, so the utilitarians would help different them to explain cheating.
Yeah.
But it's not like this.
It actually is. And this is
because for me it's like explaining the consequence of cheating or not cheating, you know. It's not like explaining the cheating per se. The behavior of cheating.
Yeah. But in order to engage in that cheating action, the person has to evaluate its good and bad consequences. So actually he thinks about the consequences, but the action, the decision to act is about the act per se. So he or she thinks about the consequences to decide whether he or she will act or not.
But you think people could think about the consequence in an individual perspective or in a collective perspective? Because when I think about someone who has a cheating behavior, for me, he or she could thinking about only in an individual perspective.
Yeah, I think most people think in that form, but it doesn't mean that the action does not implicate another, or doesn't bring bad consequences to other people.
Yeah.
So maybe you are considering your action in a narrow perspective, but it actually can impact in other aspects of including other people.
Okay, now it makes more sense. And another point we already talk about it. It's your definition of cheating. I found really interesting because for me it's like really broad. Because when I saw the example of the guy who kicked the dog on the elevator and then he get fired, right?
Yeah.
I was okay. Is this cheating? I was and the other is like throw the garbage on the street. So I saw these two examples, and then I was like, okay, I need to take some steps back and think more about the definition. Then I was okay, the definition is much more broader than my common sense of cheating, you know, because I think we have a lot of stereotypes about cheating too.
Yeah.
And I found really interesting. And now I put another point because I was curious about your perspective, Victor Breno's perspective about cheating and corruption. Do we have some connection here? Because it's too broad. And I was like, okay, so the cheating behavior could anticipate some corruption.
Yeah, I think corruption is one type of cheat.
Okay.
So corruption action is a cheating action, but a cheating action might not necessarily be a corruption action.
Okay.
Um,
Because I saw your example, for example, a student who, I forgot this word in English. The students who, what is the word? Bribing. Bribing a teacher, for example. I was, is this corruption? Okay, so.
yeah, it's a gray area. You know, it's really hard to, you know, see when cheating becomes corruption and vice versa.
Because as we are talking about the accountant, we have people who are like working on the professional setting and the organization, and we have like some corruption case. I was like, okay, do we have like some relationship? But now it's more clear.
Yeah, maybe I have to.
No, this is only a curiosity. It's not like related with the paper.
All right.
And another point I put here, for me on it's minor, I put here. For me, the methodology has a lot of really long explanation about what is a survey, what could be an administration online. I don't know. I don't know why you and Breno choose to write the method session on this way, because for me it's like maybe we can summarize some points, and so the text will be more objective. And then remember you say I wanted to publish in the international scenario. I was okay. Sometimes I saw this kind of structure for the methodology in some abroad research.
Yeah, no, it's a really good feedback. I had received this feedback before, so
I was maybe because he's a divider.
Not from him, but from the reviewers of the paper.
No, I was thinking maybe these choose. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's a bit excessive in terms of describing the.
On this time, like the journals, they have like really small space for the research. Yeah. Maybe if you need to choose some parts to summarize, this could be a good option. Yeah. And the other point I would is the instrument per se, because first how you and Breno built this part, like I will you put on the paper, we designed these 10 items based on the code.
Yeah, the code of ethics for the Brazilian cities. So each one of these items violates what this code of ethics were stating. So I actually can bring this part to the method section.
Yeah.
Because it's more relevant than the
I-
survey.
Because I now I know because you explained on the presentation, I was okay. Is this like then items on the code? But no,
Yeah,
you and Breno made some adjustment to be here.
yeah, because these are cheating actions, right?
Yeah, but
So the code of ethics cannot include these
Yeah.
cheating actions. So of course we designed the cheating actions based on the code of
Yeah.
ethics, but not, literally.
uh-huh. Okay.
But each one of them violates this code.
Okay. And the other point is that it can have some relations with this. For me, Victor, it's like we have the 3 dimensions: personal, academic, and professional dimensions. And when I saw the percentage, like it came to me that the professional dimensions it's like really different. Like, and I was okay, but here we have the the examples, and for the personal and academic, we don't have. And I was maybe these could influence the respondents because for the personal and for the academic dimension, the respondent needs to think about something in their minds that could be a cheating. Yeah, but for the professional, so I was like, maybe I don't know. What do you think? Because this presentation could influence the response, the answers here.
Yeah, I think the question order, there is a literature about this. So if you respond some cheating questions first, and then you respond whether you had cheated or not, you could be influenced by what was asked prior. But I think they didn't suffer from this problem because they asked a really simple question.
Yeah.
So even though they couldn't thought about the questions that were asked first in the survey, these PER, ACA, and PRO questions, I think they considered only their life limitations.
Okay, but for me, it's like if you present the examples first, like you said, we have literature about this, and then you ask, have you ever cheated? For me, the respondent will think about these actions.
Even if I ask about your personal life, you think that they would think that recognizing a lower figures of allowance for them to accounts just because you want your department to get a bonus would influence their thought about.
I think we will influence this one here because for me it tends to say no. And also, just a minor point, I found really interesting the male and female answers, and like you said, this is this was an example of Victor and Ben like being on the text. Oh, we cannot just accept the the answer, you know.
Yeah,
I found it interesting.
Yeah, no. Yeah, you have a point.
I don't know.
Maybe
It's just for
actually-
you and then think about it. Like I said, it's just some point it
Yeah.
came in my
At
mind.
this
but
point, we can do
nothing.
little about this.
I
Yeah, you
know.
can try to justify this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I know the response. Another point, I was like, why do you think the model has low explanatory power? When I read this, I was thinking about this point. We just talk about it.
Yeah.
Do you think maybe the instrument could?
No, I think that we generate interesting results.
I
But
think so.
from a statistical point of view, if you consider the R squared of Nagel characters,
Mhm.
it is low. So it represents that the model, even though they are valid and adequate,
Mhm.
they explain just a little about whether one cheats or not in either her personal, academic, or professional life. So it's a determination measure of the regression, binary regression model. So the model is okay, it's adequate. If you see the appendix,
Yeah.
you can see the adequacy of the model, but there are some explanatory metrics that support that little is explained. Consider the variables included in the model.
And the last point is what next? Because I was like, okay, this is part of a bigger project. I was with this feeling. And yeah, just as curiosity what you and Breno and the others have in their mind.
Yeah, I asked myself the same question. What's next?
What next?
Yeah, actually,
this is a big part of
yeah,
science because cheating is a really complex discussion. So.
Yeah, but this paper is just a part of a larger project.
Okay, so we will wait for some the next chapters of this history.
Yeah, but regarding the instrument, one of the motivation to ask these cheating questions first is that because of this larger project, it's actually a part of the a larger survey.
I was thinking about it.
Yes, so when trying to transform a larger project in something smaller, some
and it is
cuts are necessary.
Okay, so yeah, this is my point. I hope.
Yeah, but I need to defend this point.
I like I said, I was really happy to read the paper. You saw that I have a few questions about the results and so on, because for me it's really it's structured. And I hope this point could help you and Breno to develop the research and publish in some journals abroad. And I don't know if Everett has some points, or what is the name of the girl who is on, como chama? Tem alguém no. I don't know if Dais has some questions to put for Victor, but is this? Thank you for the opportunity to read and be here discussion with you.
Thank you.
Everett?
No, I don't have any questions, but congratulations for the working.
I didn't read yet, but I will because it's actually it's a really good thing
Yeah,
for us in the academic reading also because it's about accounting practice and we need to study this field also because sometimes we have to focus on cheating in only in the academic
Yeah.
area. So it's good to see this team going abroad.
okay, and I think another point here is that this, for me, this kind of research help us to be more close to the press
Yeah.
because we have this problem here.
We argue actually that one of the benefits or positive points of this research is that it's not conducted with students.
Yeah,
So it's
we have a lot of
yeah,
research with students. I don't.
yeah. But trying to go to the like real world, to study
Yeah.
phenomenal.
And you had 262
Yeah.
And I just out of curiosity because maybe I missed something, but for example, some tables like the personal dimension, the sum is like 259, for example. What happened?
Yeah, because not everyone responded the survey fully. So
you have
there
some
are
first.
missing
Makes sense.
answers. Yeah.
So thank you. See you around in the converse.
Thank you.